Welcome back, guys. We got ourselves a series, game number 5 between Classic and Dark. It is all tied up 2-2, and it looks like Classic is the one that looks more comfortable than Dark this time around.
That's right, but Dark was able to stave off the crazy Colossus timing attack we saw out the gold base there on Odyssey. What a wonky build we saw. Now we're heading into Overgrowth, the map that both players actually prioritized third in map picks. So they're both equally comfortable on this map. This is the map we saw Swarmhouse out of Dark against Deer. We'll see if he wants to run something unusual again here or play reactionary, as that was definitely the way to beat Classic there on Odyssey. Man, this series is tense, and I'm so serious about round of 4s and SSL always being way better than the finals. This could be another one of those times.
It's the big matchup, lots of history behind it. These guys, they've been on the same team, but they've also faced off against each other in big series like this. So let's jump into game number 5 and see who will take the lead. Here we go, game number 5. Up in the top right, our yellow Protoss. This is Classic.
And his opponent to the bottom left in purple is, of course, Dark. Did stave off the Colossus timing last game, but still seems a bit frustrated in the booth. Player who's pushed to the brink in a Game 7 against Innovation in the GSL just on Saturday. Just 2 days ago, lost the final game, playing against Innovation's very odd, Hyperflight rotor builds we were seeing. It was a super weird series, so he had to think on his feet. He's got to be mentally exhausted, preparing for 2 matchups, and then having to prepare for the original matchup a second time after then showing 6 games of play against this same matchup just last week. Very taxing for this player.
Classic was just sitting back, practicing, no doubt, for this, putting in a lot of thought, as he mentioned on our news show, Foreman. Was just kind of, more than practicing his heart out, he was doing a lot of research, a lot of thinking about how he would tackle the Dark problem. And, well, it seems like it's a bit of a mix of his own personal style that we've seen before, very safe, very passive, laid back, with a mix-up of just crazy builds that he thought could catch Dark off guard or even tilt him. And as you were saying before, even though Dark did win game number 4 against the Colossi, he didn't look happy about it, at least as we came into this one. Could just be the stress getting into him.
It's always the feeling of, especially back in the old times where it was much harder for Zerg to scout, this feeling of, what is the Protoss doing? Why can he do so many things? And how can I prepare for all of them? And when you fail to scout for so long that goal base, then fail to scout the Colossus until it comes across the map, you're thinking, oh, he's got another one of these things I have to be worried about. Not really going to be possible to do that build on this map, despite gold bases being here. They're not hidden. So pretty unrealistic to expect that something like that would happen. So we're going to see the normal Stargate opening. So you might get your 6 out of 7 at least here, Valdez, if we go to Game 7 on Stargate openings.
Yeah. It's always nice to be somewhat right, I suppose. We will have Overlord speed coming in here, though, so Dark, he's taking those words to heart. The Protoss could literally do anything I need to know, and so he will invest into that tech to make sure that he does know.
Yeah, and as you said, it's kind of really, it feels rewarding almost that we get to cast this series where Classic does the opposite of what we expected and does show so many different builds. So much so that the lack of scouting that Dark has shown several times in this matchup, and especially in his series against Classic, because Classic is so basic with builds, has actually come back to bite him so much that he has to adapt in this series, get Overlord speed. This Overlord already saw everything, but what if there was a Stalker, right? So that's gas spent because he needed to be sure. And now he's going to feel like it was a waste, just like that Spore cancel earlier. Small advantages here for Classic.
He does see the Void Ray coming in, and with his Overlord speed, he can easily track the Oracle. He can get his units in position. He knows the follow-up without having to lose his Overlords. So
yeah, he exactly will definitely save the Overlord too.
Yeah, should definitely feel pretty good about that at least. Gonna deny the Stasis Ward. Might even lose that Oracle. One shot away. Will escape with its life. Very important, especially if you are committing to extra Stargates, and we do see one more on the way.
Okay, same rally. Baneling Nest is coming up here. Dark has taken a slow, safe third. We'll have his +1 now started. And the Void Ray still lives, is heading across the map very carefully, but Dark does check for this. And in fact, that Overlord should, if he reacts immediately, be able to escape. Well, looks like even if he does, well, okay, I thought it might just barely get out of there. I was just, even if he does nothing, it gets out, but actually, nope. He did need to react, he did not. Saw where the Void Ray was going, is actually going to send his units to try to deny this third base. There are plenty of Oracles, though, to shut that down, and he's already been spotted. I
think a small little detail, you were talking about the links being made here, but I think this Overlord is getting in position to do a Baneling drop, because he wanted to see where the Void Ray was going with that Overlord on the right side, and he's immediately going to the opposite location, and he had Lings over there. Is sending his Overlord in right now, so I guess that will not be the case. Maybe he just wants to avoid the Void Ray, not go for a drop or anything, but he just wants a follow-up scout. He wants to know, you know, is it double Stargate? Is it going to be this Adept timing again? And this will give him all the information he needs.
Certainly could have seen it with a Baneling drop too, though, and even though he was denied, he does commit in here. Now he sees the Adept committal. We saw this already fail when he tried to kill the Queen. Just trying to block them on the ramp, actually, with these Adepts. Oracle's coming in here, targeting down the most energy Queens here. Adepts will need to target fire, though. Shooting Lings is not going to be the answer, and now his majority of what he's firing at is those Lings. He killed several Queens, but in terms of gas loss, this is a very expensive trade for Classic.
Yeah.
Look at that, 425 gas lost in that exchange.
Again, because Dark is very well prepared. He already had 2 spores at his natural. So if Classic, he can't do what Deer did, which is go in, sipe the spore, and then fight the Queens. He just will not have that option if Dark is prepared. So Dark takes a good trade, only loses Queens, but he did have to spend a lot of minerals and lost drones into making these extra spores.
Dark? Also,
I do like Dark's position, but it's not like Classic is super far behind from that move.
Sure, but Dark has made an absurd amount of Zerglings. Are those Banelings on the attack? I think they are.
Yeah, I think they have to be.
Yeah, I think they're over on the left side.
Yeah,
He's just going to try to break this with slow Banelings here. The overcharge is still active, but he doesn't have any defense at home. Thing is, when these Banelings fade away, he has Oracles he can send back home to defend. We're going to maybe have a base trade here. I mean, he made...
Gets the burrow.
I think he made like 70 Zerglings or more here.
Yeah. Something ridiculous. He's only on 51 workers. Classic goes over there and snipes that base, but Dark already has another one on the bottom right, whereas Classic is going to lose his very precious third base up at the top side.
Does deny this drop, which is very important. Classic does not have vision of this base, so he might be operating under false pretenses, especially considering he saw this many Lings. So you might be thinking, okay, you didn't even invest anything into the hatchery. You put all your money into the Lings, so you might just wrongly assume that there is no base. And so, yeah, you can turn on these Oracles to kill the Lings, but he'll never be able to kill all of them, so we'll never realistically be able to take this base when the Lings commit. And if he does, if he stays with the Oracles, then he loses map control. And it's so important he's actually going to scout this to the bottom right now.
You can commit here. I think he could have. He's going to lose a lot of Lings, though, against those Oracles, so decides against it. This is a good scout. Get some good information for Classic.
How many Queens does he have? Can you check for me?
5.
5? Okay, I wonder how many he has down there. Maybe 2? Because the Oracles can still kill it.
3 spores with 1 Queen. That's going to be his answer. He comes in here as the area units move out.
Not attacking the Nexus, though, so ends up with the wall there. The pylon survives. In fact, he's going to protect it. Okay, Corruptor's coming out. We saw him try to do Corruptors into Mutalisk when they played in regular season. The Corruptors obviously chased the Oracles into a bad spot. Dark ended up kind of dominating the early game that way. Died in the late game to a timing attack, but I don't think that timing attack will come with a weak economy here for Classic. His third base is not even yet completed, and even if he does complete it, mining from it will be very difficult.
Here we go. Corruptor's not out. There's only 1 queen and 3 spores. I don't think that's enough. As they say, that Classic says it is enough. Gonna come over here, snipe this base if he wants to.
He's just trying to look for the best possible target. Scouts the Corruptor.
Dark wants to go for a bust. Will take out the space, or at least force a cancel.
Is the bust necessary? That's what I'm wondering here.
I'm just wondering, you know, is it going to be worth it?
Yeah. Like,
he already has all those lings. I feel like he might as well.
If he sees this, he just makes sentries, though, right? He already has 1 sentry, and Oracles are coming home.
He's late, though.
Oh, my God, he wasn't watching. He gets the warp in. He needs to warp in sentries. Gonna warp in 2 Zealots initially here. This wasn't that expensive because he only made 4 Banelings, so I suppose in one way it wasn't like he was all in on that and he lost everything, and the Lings still survived.
Yeah, he actually gained so much pressure from that too. He's double expanding right now, taking the 3rd base and the gold. Has his Corruptors out now so that the Oracles can't just fly freely in. They need some support, which is why we do see, you know, the eventual transition out of Classic going into more gateways, Blink, and the Templar Archives, which did just finish up.
So, okay, going to try to catch these. Remember when we were casted this last time, we talked about how it's very difficult for the Corruptors to catch them. If they catch them by surprise, they get 1 max, basically, because they're so slow. Yeah. But the Mutalisk switch they did last time is certainly almost coming. He is building up the gas now. He's only got 200, but he will eventually have a lot more.
Is he going to go for a building here? I think he was thinking about it. Or maybe just looking to snipe some units out of the Stargates. But because he's out of position, those slow Corruptors, Classic looking for an option here, looking for an opening, but the Corruptors will get back in time.
I actually really like what Classic's doing because he knows that he can't fight the Corruptors, but he knew that most of them were in the main base, and he knows he can outrun them, so he's just like, all right, how many Corruptors have you made? Did you make Mutas yet? What's your drone count like? I'm just going to force this scout. Can't do it with just 1 Oracle, but with the pack, even if he loses 1 Oracle, he gains valuable information. He's got Blink. He's making Archons in +2. And how he beat Dark last time Dark tried this was with a big timing attack against a very weak ground army. And with the army that Dark has just now seen, oh, this is so greedy. With the army Dark has just now seen, I think he will never make Mutalisk here. It cost him the game last time, and I don't think he can do it. This is gimmicky.
There are no observers on the map.
This is true.
Correctly identified, there's not even a robotics facility on the map. He's essentially relying on Classic not expecting it,
or just walking into it.
Who would expect burrowed Banelings in this matchup, right?
Yeah,
if he runs his sentries over them, that could just be the game. You take out every single one, swarm him with your Lings. It's definitely an option. Here are the Swarm hosts, 9 of them on the way.
Okay, so we're going back to what worked for him against Deer, making more and more Banes right now. Stasis Wards will delay the Locust. That's something Deer did not have when they fought, because the Swarm hosts were very quickly rushed out. Ton of Photon Cannons coming up too. It looks like Deer, you know, what happened to him is not really going to occur here because of the defensive set we have. Oh, this is so nice.
That Forge, it's going down. 1 Stalker can't stop that.
No, he's just going to ignore it.
He's going to take this opportunity to go for an attack.
Oh, so many Banelings. It's the Baneling Depot, man. He's found it. He's hit gold. In fact, this base, speaking of gold, is under attack. Force Field's blocking off these Swarm hosts here. It's going for a direct engage, though. Here come the Corruptors back home. So important those Void Rays win the Corruptor battle so that those Oracles can win the ground fight. And it looks like so far so good. He needs to reveal those Swarm hosts. You can see the Force Fields.
Doesn't look like there's many force fields left over. He is going to get a decent trade here, but a lot does remain.
Yeah, didn't blink either. Must have been on cooldown. Banelings that were burrowed are coming back.
He needs the Locust to come out here. He's going to lose that gold.
I'm so surprised. I'm so surprised he's not just killing the Swarmos, because when those do come out, it's going to be a huge opportunity. There's the blink, but no force fields anymore. And this Stalker army will be cleaned up. He gets the base, but the cost is high because the Swarmos are still alive.
Yeah.
And now they're just going to just wreak havoc on all the remaining bases.
Void Rays, too. They don't even run away. They have to stay and trade. And here's Dark's turn to go on the aggressive.
He cancels autocast on the Locust. He's going to send them now directly over to this base. Here they come. And even with 3 Photon Cannons and Stasis Wards, this base is not going to last very long.
He's moving in, even with this Swarm host. And yeah, this is going to do so much damage. Stasis Ward's not going to be enough here. He's focusing down all those buildings. and we'll eventually get this Nexus.
Well, this was a certainly scrappy game, and Classic now finds himself at the wit's end here, trying to figure out what he can do to survive on 3 bases against such a large swarm host count. Looks like his plan of action is going to be to counterattack with oracles for the time being while building a larger army here. He's going to eventually be able to take this base, but doesn't have detection, it looks like, at this location.
Yeah, a big move by Dark to recognize the lack of detection outside of the oracles and abuse that here as well as he could. Here's the attack.
Locusts around here. Zealots are going to fade away so fast. Good Archon micro, but this is just too cost efficient here. And how can he ever take that base to the top left now? He's got no ground army to speak of. And he's trying to chase these, but there's bodyguards in the sky. Now probes on the transfer going in. He still didn't kill that.
He still can't make it finally. An observer makes its way over.
Too little too late,
Think
though.
about how much that burrow has gained for Dark in this game. Even outside of the burrowed banelings doing nothing, but stopping this desperate 4th base for so long, keeping those swarm hosts alive that Classic refused to reveal in the fight back at home. And now we have Dark making 8 Ultralisks, as Classic is on 85 supply.
This is going to be the last nail in the coffin, as they say. The coffin is built, and before the Nexus completes, I think the coffin will get that last nail. He will rest in it. There's no way anyone stops this with the tools that Classic has. He even brought the Overlords for good measure. This looks like it's going to be match point for Dark. Here's the last stand of Classic.
Classic, yeah.
As he heads in, Locust can pop to zone these units out as he hits the 4th base. Creep will be the use of these Overlords. Okay, looks like a Stasis Ward doesn't hit the Ultra, only the Lings here. Of course, Ultras, I don't think are even affected by those. We don't see situations like this very often where you're trying to use Stasis Wards to stop Ultras. Nexus is canceled.
Dark taking his sweet time. He knows he has it in the bag.
Zealous counterattacking, but
yeah, he's trying to get some damage done.
Those
base
survives.
Are very annoying to deal with.
Yeah, the base survives, and he is getting Oracle kills as well. But I just feel like if this is eventually going to get cleaned up, what Dark has will never be cleaned up by Classic.
I think when the Locust pop here should be that nail in the coffin. He's grouping up those Ultras. He really wants to end the game right now.
Okay, Locusts are ready.
Almost tripling the supply now is Dark.
Tries sniping Ultralisk as well. Just kiting back here. Locusts are going to come out. Needs to pull these Arc Guns away. There's just no way. There's no way you can hold this.
There's that angle. Finally, the Ultras do push through.
And now there's Lings that can surround the Archons. The Locusts will fade away, but Archons not going to last forever here as more and more Ultras come across the map. And this is going to be match point for Dark, man. He has such a great position now to go to that grand finals, to get the rematch a lot of fans are looking for. Dancing the Ultras and Lings as well. That's going to be the type out. GG. Dark up 3-2 now. 1 win away from that 2nd SSL final. 3rd, I should say, actually. His potentially 2nd title. His 3rd SSL final. He's 1 game away.
I love the spunk out of Dark there, just saying, man, get out of my game. Like, what are you still doing in this one? 9 Zealots in my main? Really? Are you serious? But yeah, I mean, that was a big map. It was very close, very scrappy, as you were talking about. Went down to the wire, that one big fight where the Swarm hosts survived to get the 2nd wave of Locusts to win it in the end really was that nail in the coffin. We talk about, the last one, but that was one of the big ones for Dark, where he actually pushed it through. Now we're going to Frost. Both of these players have only played 1 game on this map.
Yeah.
And, well, I can't wait to see what we have in store for this one.
I think actually Dark has played none even this season, of course, and everyone's played a million games on Frost, but this season, of course, hasn't played a single one. It's been, as you said earlier, one of the maps that just simply has not really been selected. It's a 4-player map. It's an old map, very, very old map. I mean, Might as well put Daybreak in the pool next season. I'm talking that old pretty much at this
Steps
point.
of work.
Yeah.
How about that?
Well, it's not my favorite map for reasons I've described thousands of times, but will Dark close this series out, man? It is looking in his favor now. Classic struggling to deal with the Swarmhouse again. We're moving into unknown territory for these two players on Frost. And it all comes down to potentially this last game. Classic needs to win 2 in a row to bring us to Game 7 and go to the finals. Let's find out if he can do it right now on Frost.
Here we go, Game 6 on Frost. Up in the top left, this is Classic.
Down to the bottom left in purple, it is Dark on match point. We are in vertical spawn locations. It's been a while since I've said that. We have very few 4-player maps in competitive StarCraft 2 in this tournament especially.
I just know that Stats is watching this right now, and he's praying to whatever he believes in, to the Protoss god right now. Please, Classic, win this series, because Stats' his PvP is one of the best we've ever seen. He 2-0'd Classic in the regular season, and he does not want to play against Dark. Dark, he's lost to him in a finals in SSL before. He just doesn't want to have to deal with this Zerg player, and so even though we have this game going on, just keep in the back of your mind that Stats he's in his rocking chair, rocking back and forth, just hoping and praying that Dark does not win this series.
He certainly is. Sure, for the fans, the excitement of a rematch is what a lot of people want. They don't want the mirror matchup, but if you are a champion, if you are one of the top Protosses in the world right now, you want a win, you want your favorable matchup, you want your favorable outcome. So you are absolutely right. There is no way Sats is not watching this live right now, gritting his teeth. The Classic needs to win 2 more games. He's shown us a plethora of builds. He's shown us different openings. He's shown us even a cheese in this series with the Proxy Robo Colossus timing attack. Don't anyone dare tell me that's standard. And we have...
But I saw a streamer do it once.
I don't even think anyone ever saw a streamer do that. I don't think that's ever happened in that way.
Yeah.
But now that we're in this game, Dark pulls out the Roach Warren again. Looks like Dark's plan here to close this series out is to throw a wrench into the gears of Classic, throw off his early game. Let's wait and see if we see Burrow. So we are in these close spawns. There's the Burrow. So he wants to start things off with the Roach Warren into the Swarmos. This is a great map for Swarmos, which you can poke from multiple different angles from safety. The third base has a high ground next to it where the Swarmos can actually drop their Locust, then run away on that bridge, and then keep coming back. The Bridge of Death is what we call it. That narrow choke point in the top and bottom of the map. It's where the Swarmos are going to run away after they drop their Locusts.
Still no tech for Classic. And there it is. I saw that gas disappear. Twilight Council. He made the Mothership Core and the Stalker. He's like, okay, nothing is getting in. And I think he did see that Roach with the Adept.
Third base, is far away. He knows this because he forced it.
He canceled the Twilight, yeah.
He's going into Immortals here to try to hold the Roach push, I suppose, and then try to get quicker AoE. No more Roaches coming out. This is going to be the first initial, what, 6, 7? 7 Roaches.
7, yeah.
Old school 7 Roach push. Now Burrow will finish right at the timing. Yeah.
For back in the day maps.
Okay. Stalker's here. Overcharge is ready. He wants to get the Observer out as well, of course. The drop will be used here yet again. He doesn't have Oracles this time, so that Observer is so critical. If he can kill the Robo or unpower it, this is going to be so much more annoying to deal with. He's only going to have 4 Roaches in the main, though.
Yeah.
Okay, it's actually the Nartosis pylon.
Yeah, only 3 Roaches. I think he's going for probes here.
Okay.
I don't think you can really hope to take out that pylon. He wants to get some damage done. He's been on solo workers for so long in this game.
Yeah.
But nice pull here by Classic.
Okay.
Will at least do a bit of mining loss damage.
Dark needs to take a third base, of course, as well behind this. Fighting with the probes here, forcing Roaches to target now as he sends them back to the narrow line. Looks like very similar damage to what we saw in the first game of this series, going all the way back to Newkirk. Third base is taken. Ling speed +1. Where's the lair? Where are the Swarmos? Will that be the follow-up again, or will Dark decide to take a different transition point? It feels predictable at this stage that we would see Swarmos. I think that's one of the reasons why this Prism is being made right now, to try to harass Dark when he's at this vulnerable state, trying to get the Swarmos out, trying to walk them across this fairly long rush distance. If you cut the map in half of the watchtowers, it feels like this is just a 2-player map. It's still pretty far.
Yeah. This is an interesting spot for both of these players. We haven't really had a game like this just yet, where this is going to be scouted, by the way, by Dark, so he knows it's coming. But Dark has forced Classic into robotics tech, and he knows the tech. He's seen everything. But Dark's economy is a little very far behind. He's getting his third base late, but he will be able to delay the third base slightly with his own burrow. He's following up with another big attack, by the way, here, guys. It's only 32 workers.
Yeah, I think he's actually just going to kind of all in here. He's not making drones anymore. He's only making overlords and kind of overmaking them in a sense. It's not going to be an in-control, or not an in-control, sorry. It's not going to be an innovation Banshee right there with this vial coming out. So anyone watch the GSL semis knows what I'm talking about, but yeah. Charge is on the way. He's got Immortals on the way. He's holding on, not making that third base just yet, now making it. Doesn't have any vision, though. Like, if he tries to defend between these two bases and doesn't have a wall off, he will die, I think, to this push.
Link sees everything.
Yeah.
Comes in here. It's only units here for Dark. There's the +1.
He needs to see it. He needs to know. Well, this is going to be a quick end of this game, I think.
Yeah, I think he does. I mean, he has seen a lot of these Roaches. He's pumping out the Immortals, but now
these units can't be in the middle of the bases. I don't think he's seen it. I don't think he has any idea. His units would not be here. He knows now. He needs to do some crazy force field to get out of this one. Those are not crazy enough, I don't think.
The Ravagers aren't even here.
Yeah, he's struggling against the Lings alone. Here come the Ravagers. Force field's working against him now. Nowhere to run for the Immortal. It is going to go down. No Prism nearby.
There's the surround. There's the no wall. And it looks like Dark is going to be our second finalist moving on in this one, as Classic has no help, no way in the world to win this game.
Charge is going to finish, but for no Zealots, 3 warping in right now. Does send the Immortals back with the Stalker, but hands are off the keyboard here. And even though Classic's a GSL finalist and SSL finalist, he's not going to be one of the ones vying for his second title tonight. It is going to be Dark who moves on. 25 probes are dead, and so is this series. Overcharge is used here. Warp Prism being used to micro at the last second, but the rain comes in from these Ravagers, and even if he survives this somehow, he'll be on one Nexus. His third Nexus is being killed currently.
Classic, he just can't really accept it right now. He's been thwarted by Dark again. Overcharge isn't going to save this base, as the Mothership gets there in time to watch it fall, and Dark says, well, I'm double your supply. I'll just go ahead and back off.
Classic hasn't had a title in 2 years since he won Season 2 in 2015. He's going to remake this Nexus now, but it all feels futile for this player who's definitely had some hardships in his career. Defeated by Dark in the semifinals in 2016 in the 7th game. Might not make it there this time. Everyone will remember his loss to TY in the Pro League Grand Finals in 2014 as well, where he was cheesed out. Feels like a similar situation here. The lack of information. He used it to win a game against Dark. He tried to use it to win 2 games against Dark, but it is actually, at the end of the day, Dark hiding information, his lack of information of that push coming across the map that caused him to have his units out of position. And now, sure, we're watching a mini game here of Whack-A-Drone as he tries to fight his way back into this game, but the elephant in the room is that he's 72 supply to 18 down. He's the 18. And what is there to defend realistically when the next attack comes across the map with Roach speed and Ravagers?
I mean, might not even win this fight against the Lings. Looks like maybe just barely. And he's still microing his heart out. He's going to cancel that Nexus, but even someone who doesn't know much about StarCraft can tell you the outcome of this one. Warp Prism still trying. He's
Dark's
still trying,
coming up, but he's got an Overseer. Classic, he fought his way through Challenge. He fought his way through the fast lane, got through relegations, made it here, was one of the top seed players. Dark is making his run through the gauntlet again, just like Solar's run last season to face Innovation. And Dark has made it. He's defeated one Protoss already. It looks like this is going to be the second, as Classic doesn't want to accept it, but hands are once again off the keyboard. As his mothership core goes down, he will type out GG.
Finally, Dark will take him out. Game number 6 and the series will go to our Zerg player. And we have decided our finals now. It will be Stats versus Dark, the rematch. Going head-to-head in one big best-of-7.
So unfortunate for Classic. He played a great series. Honestly, one of his more in-depth series he's played in 2017, showing so many different builds, so many different styles there, cheesing a little bit. So unlike Classic to do that, well, I mean, the last time I saw Classic do something as tricky as he did with the Colossus build is when he cheesed State in Pro League, and State's Pro League match, man. I can't remember Classic doing
Station.
Yeah, I can't remember Classic doing anything that cheesy since then. I mean, it's a sad story for this former SDX player who's been around for so long. He's played professional StarCraft longer than Dark has.
One of our older players that's still around, born in '91, so definitely up there.
Same age as you.
Yeah.
And that's ancient in StarCraft player years.
Wow.
Man.
There's no way I could get into StarCraft pro gaming right now.
No,
it just would not happen. Too
Certainly
old.
not. You were very much too old.
Yeah, confirmed too old.
One guy's your age right now is at home, and like Yoda's like, no, too old to be trained.
Yeah.
Like, it's how it is. He's too old to be trained. But yeah, Classic, man. He was a Terran player in Brood War. And, of course, moved into Protoss and StarCraft 2. He's been playing for a while. He has a GSL title and SSL title, but he's not getting a second one.
Yeah, and I don't want to speak like doom of this player. It's not like he's going to retire after this match, but definitely a big blow to his confidence. We talked about it a lot in this series, the history that these two players have against each other. He gets thwarted again. Now in big series, Dark is ahead 7-1, and that is not a record you want to have against any player when you are a professional.
Especially when Dark is doing so well and you're trying to kind of get back to form yourself. You had you had 2 bad GSLs realistically if you're Classic. Then you fought your way through promotions, and at the end of it all, you lose to the player who had just been defeated by Innovation. And for Dark, this must feel amazing. He was knocked out of the GSL. Yeah. Now he's going to another finals. He's already defeated this player in the grand finals. And for Stats, time to start watching some VODs. Time to call your old coach, man. He's going to call HOT forever. Try to get some advice here.
Whoever he was praying to, it didn't work this time. But he's not going to be too happy about Dark making it through. So here we go. We're going to recap what happened for this. If you guys are tuning into the stream right now, I feel sorry for you. You missed a very good series. But let's go ahead and see how it went down. Dark took game number 1. Did crush Classic's passive style, but then Classic brought it back to him on Abyssal Reef and said, we're going to 40 minutes, man. We're going to mine out this map, and I'll play my style and make it work. Then he goes to Ascension to Ire and gets a bit more cheesy, if you will, changes it up, goes for a big adept timing that catches Dark totally off guard. But that's when Dark lays down the hammer. He only lets Protoss get 2 wins against him, and then that's it.
Yeah, I mean, it was a pretty dominant series towards the end there after the win on Odyssey. Things looked dire after the Ascension to Ire loss, but he turned it back around, and he was the more flexible player today. Even though Classic showed us different builds, they were not as successful as his standard builds. And we are going to jump to an interview, I believe, with Dark, our winner here. There he is, and it will be Kanata this time, and we'll do our replay analysis with this player. Let me get that translated for you guys. So congratulations on your victory. So how do you feel about making it to the finals? So it's my first finals appearance in about a year. So honestly though, I'm actually a little bit disappointed with my performance tonight and my level of play, so we'll definitely be working to improve. So you did just recently get eliminated from the GSL. How did that factor into your mentality for this match? Dark says, I thought it was definitely going to be tough because I couldn't find any good Protoss practice partners to train with going into this. So, do you think there's any particular reason why you're so good against Classic specifically? So, saying he thinks he gets really intimidated when he's playing against me, like when I all-in'd in the first game. So just talking about the Swarmhouse, I went for it a little bit spontaneously in response to the Oracles here, but it worked really well for me. Although he does add that he feels like this comeback victory was kind of pure luck. Classic didn't expect the fungals. He came in a very straightforward manner, so I was a bit surprised by the fungals. So, just talking about Swarmhouse again, I don't know what it is, but it just feels like I want to keep making them. It just feels like it's almost kind of like a must-have to win.
Talking about this fight, he actually thought he was going to lose because he assumed that Classic had Storm. But he felt like he had to go for it because if he could take out all the Immortals and Archons, he would most likely win the game. Talking about Game 5 here on Overgrowth. What was your read on the situation as Classic was attacking? Dark says, I was really nervous about the Swarm hosts, about their cooldown specifically of the Locust. So he feels like he was pretty lucky in this fight.
Certainly, Classic not attacking those Swarm hosts, man.
It almost felt like Classic forgot about the Swarm hosts and that they were buried in the ground. As Wolf is pointing out, they never went down. I want to talk a little bit more about Abyssal Reef game. So we got some PSA here. You all saw what happened. The Zerg can produce every single unit but still lose to the Protoss. Public service announcement from Dark. I'm sure that'll help out our Twitch chats.
Oh boy.
As he crushes Classic 4-2 in the series. Talking about the final set here. Dark says the build worked almost flawlessly. Very, very well for me. As Wolf was mentioning, Classic did not see this coming in. Was not prepared. Was the follow-up all-in part of the build? Asks Kanata. So he went for the attack with the burrow and then went back, made more units. Dark says he went for the all-in because he felt like he was in a losing position and he had to all-in. And so he was surprised that it actually worked out.
Did kind of feel that he didn't need to do it, but I mean, Classic certainly didn't think he was going to. That is for sure.
Talking about the pre-match interview, he says, maybe this time if I win the finals, I'll buy some food for Classic. Because Classic was talking about how Dark doesn't buy food for him. Any final words for Stats, who he will face in the finals? He says, I'm sure Stats is going to find a bunch of great practice partners in his Zerg opponents, but I am the best of them all. And at this point, I think he is exactly right.
I think so. So we will have the finals here live in the studio. It's going to be on Sunday, not next week, not next Monday, but of course the following Sunday. So almost in 2 weeks' time, 13 days from now. It'll be at 2 p.m.
Yeah, different time here, guys. So make sure you set your schedules. 2 p.m. KST on Sunday. That's a Saturday night for you East Coast guys in America.
Yeah.
So
very early. So about, what, 5 hours earlier than usual?
Yeah.
So just, if you're watching regularly, just set your clock 5 hours back.
Yeah, it's a pretty nice time for all those owl nerds.
Yeah.
I'm sure we got watching this. The hardcore guys.
It's going to be how you spend your Saturday.
You and I, Wolf, back in the day.
Yeah. Spend your Saturday night, staying up all night watching this finals. This finals and the GSL finals both should be incredible for different players, actually.
Yeah.
Even though it could have been actually both finals were the same, there was a chance. SOS did end up beating. So it's kind of cool because it's mirrored. This is like an alternate reality. This is like the losers of the semifinals of the GSL actually make the finals here. It's kind of funny how that ends up working out. It's like parallel universes. What if they won? Sort of situation.
It's also funny because SOS got knocked out of SSL Challenge, but he's in the finals of GSL.
Yeah.
Somehow that makes sense in this alternate reality. Yeah. Not sure how that's possible.
Not sure how that's possible.
Yeah, the matches we just saw on screen were actually challenged. Those are going to be on Monday, so no challenge this Saturday. Actually, the next StarCraft for SSL at least is going to be on next Monday in a week, and then the finals on Sunday. So got a bit longer of a break, I suppose, for SSL.
Yeah, definitely true. And it's going to be a little bit of a dry week, I suppose, but use that time to build up your hype. Make sure to watch the GSL finals as well, of course, because that should be fantastic.
Yeah. Is that on Saturday or Sunday?
I think it's Saturday.
Saturday, okay.
Yeah. So it should be great. Should be really enjoyable.
Yeah.
As was this series, man. It was really fun. Classic for him. He's down at number 13 currently in WCS standing, so he's got a ways to climb. Yeah. I think he's going to basically have to win Super Tournament. I'm not even sure if that would still even help him get to BlizzCon, but it's unfortunately lost here as Dark's already basically qualified. Yeah. He's number 5, but I think he's actually guaranteed a spot in BlizzCon no matter what with his finals win.
Classic said that in the pre-interview. He's like, you already have enough points. Yeah. Let me take this one. Dark said, no, I'm going to crush you anyway.
So, I mean, Classic might not be at BlizzCon. It's really rough for such an international player who's been in so many big tournaments, but his run ends here.
Yeah, that it does. Dark will face off against Stats in the finals, but that's going to do it for us, guys. Thank you once again for watching. Was another great best of 7 we have over here for the semifinals of SSL. But until next time, we'll see ya. Good night.